Hello friends, this is John Holmes welcoming you to the Destination Yesterday production of The Shambler from the Stars. To fully understand the investigation which is in progress, you're advised to listen to the story from the start. You will find links to episodes 1 and 2 on the Destination Yesterday website and Facebook page. And now, a brief recap of Part 2. A letter from Brett Lawrence to Phillip Truelove proved that Brett had obtained a copy of De Vermis Mysterious by Ludwig Prynne, a forbidden book of the occult. An old letter was found in which a doctor told of a cover-up which prevented him from revealing the truth about the cause of death in a case he had been involved with in 1926. The wounds to that body were identical to those suffered by Phillip Truelove. In an interview with Brett Lawrence at his Ipswich home, it was discovered that he had written a story about the events of the night of Truelove's death and sent it to his writing teacher. We resume the story with Eoghan Blakewell and Jennifer Morgan in a small cafe in Ipswich.
I've been checking online for that bookshop, the Dream Ends, and there's nothing coming up. I've also discovered that the one bookstore that I thought was on Silent Street closed a few years back. That's the problem with the internet. Sometimes it's hard to find dates on things.
Don't count on the internet when you've got eyes. You done with your lunch?
I can't eat my last sandwich wedge. Would you like it?
I was hoping you'd ask. Isn't it funny how you managed to eat the scone and cakes?
That's food for the soul. I needed it after a depressing morning with Brett Lawrence. Anyway, the smell of your aftershave is affecting my appetite.
What? I like my aftershave, and I've got no intention of changing it. Anyway, what's wrong with it?
You smell like a politician I interviewed last year, so it's not really the scent, it's just that it reminds me of him.
Suck it up, Jennifer.
Watch it. I'm sure I could get my old job back with the newspaper.
Don't you dare. I'll have Nan put a curse on you.
Yeah, as if she would. Okay, so one lead might be a dud, but at least we've had a good lunch.
Yes, it was lovely. But we won't know for certain about Silent Street until we go and look. Got a feeling there's something there.
Your spidey senses are tingling?
That's one way to put it. Once out of the cafe, it only took a couple minutes to get to Silent Street. I didn't know if we'd find a bookstore, but there was a force pulling me in that direction. I relaxed and let my precognitive powers work. I walked where my feet took me.
Why are we stopping?
I sense something here. There's a strange energy around me. My vision of the jester, he was walking...
Excuse me, can I help you? You look lost.
The man who spoke seemed to have appeared out of thin air. He was about 40 years old and dressed in a beige suit. He had an aristocratic face, short blondish hair, piercing green eyes, and an air of authority.
Oh, hello. We were just looking for a used bookstore, but I guess it's gone.
It's been about 4 years since there was a bookstore on Silent Street. I hope you didn't come all the way from Norwich just for that.
Ah, I remember. You were on the train with us.
That's right. Opposite side of the aisle.
I thought you looked familiar. Interesting that we should meet again.
It must be me. My life is full of coincidences.
Really? I've never believed in coincidences.
Oh, but you should. Shall I tell you another one?
Please do.
You asked me about a used bookstore. Well, I run one myself back in Norwich.
That's very interesting. It wouldn't happen to be called The Dream Ends, would it?
Now, how would you know that?
That's the name of the bookshop we were told we'd find here on Silent Street. A very unlikely coincidence, one might say.
Yes, indeed. Or as I like to say when things like this happen, it seems that the stars are right.
They must be. Let's see, that makes 4 coincidences?
I told you, my life is full of them.
Indeed. Well, I think I'll have to pop round to your bookshop one day. After meeting like this, I can't help but think that you might have exactly what I'm looking for.
I hope it's a day when I'm in so I can show you around. Here's my card. Good day. And good luck with your book hunt.
That was interesting. So what's his game?
Perhaps hide and seek? We're certainly drawing attention.
You should have expected that after the doppelganger incident at Truelove's house. Why didn't you want the DPSR to completely wipe their memories? It's obvious that they reported back to the enemy camp, and that's why they're interested in us now.
Precisely. Didn't you know that a bit of cheese is the best way to get a mouse to come out from behind the skirting board?
Oh, okay. I guess it's good to know what the opposition looks like so you can see them coming. But what is it they want? Have you given any thought to what that doppelganger was looking for at Truelove's house?
I've had too much else to think about, but I'd say the seeds from Ugoth?
No, that couldn't have been it. The guy who came to the door didn't have anything to put them in.
Ah, yeah, of course. I was just testing your observation skills.
So you have kissed the Blarney Stone, Mr. Blakewell.
Please, never try to do an Irish accent again. I looked at the business card before putting it in my wallet. The proprietor was listed as Giles Waterhouse. It was nice to put a name to a face, even if I was certain that it was an alias. I was sure I'd seen him somewhere before, in a magazine or a newspaper perhaps. With our work in Ipswich done, we headed for the train station. On the way, I placed a call to Edgar Baird at Strange Sagas and asked him to text me contact details for the teacher of the writing class that Brett Lawrence had attended, since I might want to interview him as well. He was happy to oblige, knowing what great publicity my story would be for his magazine. When we arrived at the station, Jennifer checked her schedule screen.
Only 10 minutes until the next train. Good timing.
Ah, and I've just received a message with the information I requested. The tutor's name is Leo Balcom. He lives in Norwich. But he comes to Ipswich 3 days a week to teach writing classes. So, I have his email address and phone number now. Baird suggests not contacting him until the evening because he's currently working and has a 4:30 class as well. How easy it is to get information when you're pretending to be a journalist. I must remember what a great cover this is. It was just after 4 p.m. when I got back home. I logged onto my laptop and discovered that the police had sent me a message regarding Brett Lawrence. They told me which hospital he was staying in and provided a link for general information and visiting hours. They planned to keep him there until he was considered well enough to take care of himself. I waited until 7 to call the writing teacher. I wasn't sure what time he finished work, but I wanted to allow time for him to get back to Norwich and have dinner.
Hello?
Hello, am I speaking to Leo Balcom?
I'm sorry. If this is a sales pitch...
No, nothing like that. My name's Eoghan Blakewell. Edgar Baird of Strange Sagas gave me your phone number.
I'm not taking any more students at the moment.
No, I wasn't looking for classes. I'm a reporter, and I'm doing a story on Brett Lawrence. He's in one of your writing classes in Ipswich.
Oh yes, that's right. But I really don't have time to talk now. I'm just off to a private lesson and I don't wish to be late.
Can I just ask if you've got a copy of Mr. Lawrence's most recent story? I interviewed him today, and he said that he'd sent it to you, but he hadn't kept a copy for himself. I was just wondering if you could...
Oh, yes, his story. It was one of the most interesting I've ever seen in this set of classes. Choosing to write it from a first-person perspective made it really work. Such a tense atmosphere. If that's all you want, I can scan it and send it to you as soon as I get back. Just text your email address to me.
I'll do that. Sorry if I've detained you.
Oh, no matter. Fortunately, my student lives locally, and I can take the shortcut to save time. Good day.
I stayed up until just after midnight, hoping the story would come through. It didn't. I even checked the phone message I'd sent to make sure there wasn't a typo in my email address. No, it was perfect. I realized my impatience was starting to make my imagination work overtime. I reminded myself that Leo had been working all day and had likely been tired when he came home, and decided sending the story could wait until morning. So I went to bed. The first thing I did when I went downstairs in the morning was to grab both my mobile phone and recorder to be ready for the day.
The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone.
Hello, Mr. Balcom. It's Eoghan Blakewell, the reporter. We spoke last night. I just wanted to remind you about the story you were going to send me, the Brett Lawrence story. I'm sorry to bother you again, but I've a deadline to meet. That's all. Bye. And thank you.
Good morning. Oh, what a face. You look like someone kicked your dog.
The email I was waiting for last night, the story, never came.
Oh, from the writing teacher.
Yes. I think I'll call the editor of Strange Sagas and see if he's working today. I have a bad feeling about this.
I'll start breakfast while you do that. Will sausages, scrambled eggs, toast and coffee be okay?
Oh, sounds like heaven. I rarely make a decent breakfast when I'm on my own.
And why would that be?
Breakfast for one seems like a waste of time.
Now that you're recording everything, maybe you should listen to yourself someday. Make your call. I'll get breakfast started.
Hello, my name is Robert. You have reached the offices of Strange Sagas. How may I help you?
Hi, I wish to speak to Mr. Baird, please.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Baird is very busy this morning. Can I take a message?
Can you tell him that Eoghan Blakewell, the reporter, called regarding Leo Balcom?
Excuse me, have you spoken to Mr. Balcom?
Yes, I called him...
One moment, I'll put you through to Mr. Baird.
Hello, Mr. Blakewell. My receptionist tells me that you've heard from Leo Balcom. Can you tell me why he hasn't shown up for classes this morning? He could at least have contacted us. I've had students calling up asking for partial refunds, balking at the cost of coming into Ipswich, wanting parking fees refunded...
Excuse me, but there's been a misunderstanding. I haven't spoken to Mr. Balcom since last night. Haven't been able to get in touch with him today.
Oh, drat. I hope he's all right, of course. But I set up these classes and, well, I've had too many problems with tutors in the past month.
There was another problem?
Just illness. I know it can't be helped. I hired Balcom to cover for Miss Higgins, our regular teacher, who had contracted COVID. Thank goodness none of the students caught it from her. That was a miracle in a small classroom. I think the complaints we've had today are bad. What would it have been like if a student had become seriously ill?
I can imagine. It's a good thing there are lots of writing teachers around. Looks like you need another replacement.
Well, fortunately, Miss Higgins thinks she's well enough to come back and will be taking the next class today. But I'd say you're wrong about there being a lot of writing teachers around. That was just a piece of good luck. The day before Miss Higgins went off sick, I received an email from a place called Perfect Profs, saying you could find self-employed teachers for any subject. There weren't many writing teachers, but I called Mr. Balcom because he lived nearby. Thankfully, he was available and willing to accept my terms.
Then it'd seem your good luck outweighs the bad.
Yes, I suppose you could say that. But when you run a small office, any disruption seems big.
Yes, and now you'll have to call the police, so you'll have a further disruption to your day.
Oh, drat. I hadn't thought of that. May I ask why you were calling me? Did you not say that you talked to Leo last night?
Yes, he was just heading out to do a private lesson and told me that when he returned home, he'd email some information I wanted. He never did, and then I couldn't get in touch with him this morning.
Oh, and he's a Norwich lad. Maybe you should be the one calling the police. You know more about his activity than I do.
Yes, I guess I could do that. Wait, I don't even know what he looks like, or where he lived.
Well, you can tell them to get in touch with Robert on reception, and we'll share his work file with them. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I placed a call to the police, answering all their questions regarding the missing tutor. I made it known to them that my team at Eyes for Investigate would be joining the search, if necessary, after the initial report came back from the police investigation team. I requested to be kept up to date on CCTV footage and asked that Mr. Balcom's employment data be passed on to us. They didn't seem pleased with this, so I mentioned that we were working in conjunction with the Department of Parascientific Research and that Balcom had information we needed. That changed everything.
Any luck with the tutor?
No, he seems to be missing. Perhaps because of that Brett Lawrence story he had. Someone else might have... I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to think better after breakfast.
Eggs and sausages are on the table, as well as a nice hot cup of coffee. Oh, I just heard the toast pop up.
You're a gem.
What do you have planned for today?
It depends on what comes up during the team meeting this morning. Hopefully they've all had time to listen to the audio from yesterday. Hey, what's this?
A strange man brought it to the back door while you were on the phone. And I mean strange. Open it up and see.
Oh, it's the amulet from Truelove's wall. They cleaned it? Okay, this is a copy, wouldn't you say, Nan?
Obviously. Not a speck of energy in it. Good starry wisdom symbol, excellent workmanship, but useless. Unless it's an exact copy using a mould. I might be able to do something with that for you. Leave it with me. I'll need the keys to the laboratory and the vault. Are they still kept in the same place?
Yes. I bought all the supplies you requested and refilled the old containers. What are you going to be doing today?
Oh, this and that. Don't you fret about it.
But I do. My nan comes to visit, and do we sit and play dominoes and drink sherry? No. She creates spells and wards and mixes potions in an underground laboratory. There are days when I really find it terrifying, and other days I'm almost hypnotically drawn to it and curious.
Stay afraid. Finish your toast. Can I ask you something, dear?
Of course.
Why are you recording our breakfast?
Am I? Oh, great. I'm wearing out the battery. Nothing has gone the way I expected this morning. I thought Oh, I'll start recording while I talk to the writing tutor, and then I'll follow it up by opening the email with the story and reading it aloud, and then making some comments, then upload the audio for everyone, and it will make such a nice piece to use in the podcast.
Calm down.
Note to Ben, do what you want with this audio. Maybe there's something useful here. After breakfast, I logged on to my laptop to check my emails before the team meeting started. There was a message from Tristan. He'd managed to get a dentist appointment. There had been a cancellation, so he wouldn't be at our morning meeting. But he had something he wanted to share, so he suggested we have a talk at 5 o'clock, and he'd set up a recording so he could upload it for everyone else to catch up on. I messaged back, accepting the plan. My emails also contained a protected folder from the police with information on Leo Balcom. I uploaded this to the server, along with the audio of my phone call to the police, then signed on to the morning meeting to find Ben waiting for me. Hello, Ben. Have you finished uploading the Angel papers and updating our security system?
Aye, and I've sorted out Sylvia's laptop and tried to organise everything in our current case folder. It was getting to be quite a mess. Someone had just been popping things in there without bothering to make sure they're in the right place and easy to find.
I'm sorry, Ben. Guilty as charged. I'll pay more attention next time. And thanks for taking care of the laptop for Sylvia. It takes so long to get things back if you go to the DPSR for repairs.
They're pleased that I do it. After all, I used to work for them, so they know the job's being done properly. As long as I log the repairs I do, I'm just saving them a bit of work.
Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Morning, guys.
We were just notified of another upload. Was that you, Owen?
Yes, it's a police report. The writing teacher I contacted last night has gone missing. Speaking of missing, where's Jennifer?
Yeah, just running late, I guess.
She hates being late. She'd send a message.
She's only late by 4 minutes. Relax.
Relax? What if something...
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late.
Jennifer, we were worried. Why didn't you...
I went out for breakfast with my aunt this morning. On the way home, I discovered there had been an accident somewhere and traffic was at a standstill, so I had to take a different route through an area I'd never visited before. Then, I noticed some weird street art, bizarre creatures and stuff. I stopped to take photos and lost track of time. I won't let it happen again, okay?
It's not a problem. We were just worried. With street art?
Yeah, they could have been illustrations for Strange Sagas magazine. I'll show them to you sometime. Whoever did them is really talented.
I look forward to that. Before you joined us, I'd let the others into a bit of bad news. The writing teacher who has the Brett Lawrence story's gone missing. I've uploaded the police information. We won't make any move on this ourselves until they've finished the footwork. Checking CCTV, talking to people in the area, the usual.
Hey, let's hope they find him.
Indeed. I assume you all saw Tristan's message and...
Yeah.
Aye.
He messaged me to say he's got something to share with us, so he and I are going to have a meeting at 5 o'clock. It should be up online for you by 6, I expect.
Great. Cool.
Great.
Can't wait.
Okay then. I want to start the meeting by suggesting we adopt the team rule. No one goes out on assignment alone. If you listen to the audio files from yesterday, you'll know that Jennifer and I were followed.
I guess it's not only Tristan who needs a sneak spell.
Point taken. I'll ask Nan if she can do one for each of us. But we can't become reliant on spells. Even good ones can be detected and countered.
Sure. But they can help to level the playing field. You have to fight fire with fire, you know.
I agree, unfortunately. Does anyone have any work they need to do today before I discuss assignments?
Hate to say it, but I really do need to be doing my updated course with the DPSR. James has sent me a reminder. I can do 4 hours online this morning, and I'll be available for you, say, 2:30? Is that okay with you?
That's fine. I hope we've heard something more from the police about Balkan by then. You've got access to my emails. Feel free to check for any updates and react to them accordingly.
All right. If I go out, do you want me to team up with them?
Yes.
It's about time. I could use a change of scenery.
So, Jennifer, are you okay with checking out that bookstore with me? The Dream Ends?
You're the boss.
Oh, God, don't call me the boss.
Okay, then what are you?
I can just about cope with team leader.
You're a kind of funny entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Okay, the bookshop it is.
Sylvia, any time Tony goes out, I think you should come over here and stay with Nan.
But our house is warded. I'll be fine.
I just thought you might want to do a bit of work in the vault, and did I mention that there's another apple pie?
You know what? I think visiting with Kate is a great idea. Maybe she can sort out my sneak spell while I eat a piece of pie.
Following the meeting, Jennifer came to pick me up, and we headed for a street near the bookshop. I wanted to get a good look over the area before going in, so we parked a block away and cautiously walked around. When the shop came into view, we stopped to study it. I know this street, and that shop definitely wasn't there a week ago. Interesting. This is an expensive part of town.
That bookshop looks like it's been there forever. It seems too real, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. It's there, but not really there.
Are you suggesting that it's an illusion? If so, how do you enter an illusion?
It's something more real than that. I wonder, can you stay out here and wait for me? If I'm not out in...
Sorry, no can do.
Excuse me?
We've adopted the team rule. That's what you said. No one goes anywhere alone.
That was before we entered this situation. Now I see that one of us needs to be able to get help. If something happens to me, then...
I'll be there to assist.
But...
I'm not leaving you. Let's go.
Maybe you're right. They may not be prepared for both of us. It could work to our advantage, but if it doesn't...
If it doesn't?
Let's just say you'll never have to worry about parking tickets again. A bell tinkled to notify the shopkeeper that a potential customer had entered. The man at the checkout desk was not the person we'd met in Ipswich. He was a harsh, dark-haired man of about 30, wearing drab, but expensive, clothes.
Hello. Oh, you're just looking around today, or is there something I could help you with?
I think we'd like to look around. We didn't know this shop was here until we met the owner yesterday. Is he in today?
I'm sorry. Giles is out on a buying trip. He should be back tomorrow.
Oh dear. I'd so hoped to see him again. He was going to show me around.
I could do that for you if you wish.
No, that's fine. I think we'll just wander about on our own. Come along, Jennifer. Let's see if we can find anything interesting.
Our esoteric collection is at the back, on the left.
That seems appropriate.
I wonder where they keep their children's books. I'd love to get a copy of Ethel the Aardvark Goes Quantity Surveying.
Children's books are directly on your right. We have a fine collection of John Newbery and Christopher Smart. First editions in at the moment.
Well, maybe you could save us some time. We're looking for the Book of Aebon. Do you happen to have the Penguin edition?
No, we do not, Mr. Blackwell. The only printed version is the Adkins and Jones edition of the Latin text from 1937. It is not in stock, but I should be able to get a copy from our main store in London, if you're serious about wanting it.
Well, I think it might make good light reading. Being such a good book, though, I suppose it's been scanned by now. Couldn't I just download the Kobo edition?
We only deal in paper. We consider paper to be an important part of the reading experience.
I just didn't want to put you to any extra trouble on my behalf. But yes, I agree that there's nothing like the feel and smell of an old book, is there?
Precisely. If you will provide me with your phone number or email address. Perhaps you have a business card.
Yes. No. I think I gave my last one away recently. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, I'll jot my email address down for you. It's rather long and complicated.
Very well. I'll get in touch with you when it arrives. I believe we have a shipment coming in tomorrow. If I call them before 3, they can add it to the delivery. It should be with you tomorrow afternoon.
I'll give you a top review on TripAdvisor if you can get it for me that quickly. By the way, how much is this going to cost?
1 moment, please. That would be £13 with that included.
Will it be delivered, or do I have to come and pick it up?
We offer delivery to your door for only £2 extra.
That's a bargain. Saves me time, effort, and a bus fare. So, you'll need an address rather than my email. Do I pay now or on delivery?
Now, please. And in case you didn't see our sign, we don't accept cash.
Of course not, because it's dirty stuff. Cold, hard plastic is the only way to go. For the first time in my life, I was happy to leave a bookshop. Once out on the street, we quickly and without speaking walked to where Jennifer had parked her car, got in, locked the doors and drove off. It was a few minutes before we started to talk.
Do you really want the Book of Avon, Mr. Blackwell?
Oh, don't. Do you know how often people call me that?
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
And no, I don't really want the Book of Avon. Well, if he can get it for me, I guess it. Nana'd have a fit if she knew.
You're 42 years old, right? Okay, I can see your point, actually. But what do we do next? Are we going to go back to that store again when the owner's in?
I don't think we need to. If they wanted us to go back, I don't think the book delivery option would have been offered. Oh, before I forget, there's something you need to know. Never let a suspicious character get hold of something of yours. That's why I didn't hand over a business card, even though my wallet's stuffed with them. For some types of magic, you need a possession to create a spell or make a curse work. From his reaction, I'd say he was disappointed not to get that.
But they have something written by you. Can't they use that?
It was their paper and their pen, and what I wrote was Manus quae scribit haec, Manus est quae tegitur. The hand which writes this is the hand which is protected.
Well, that was a very small piece of paper to hold all that and your address.
I didn't include my address. I'm sure they got that already.
I suppose so. Oh, God. And likely mine, too. I don't know how well I'm going to sleep tonight.
Damn, that's a good point. Okay, let's stop at your apartment before you take me home, and I'll help you create a ward. It's a similar process to the personal protection spell we did, in that it needs a personal touch, so I'll guide you through it. It's bound to the area of your home, so there's no need for an amulet. Don't look at me like that. It'll be fine. I know what I'm doing.
I was just wondering, are you a warlock?
No. You don't have to be some sort of magician to do a ward. You just need magical knowledge. The more you have, the better the ward. I really should have done this for you a few months ago. I'm sorry about that. It took nearly 30 minutes to create a strong ward once we got to Jennifer's apartment. While we were there, she took the opportunity to upload the photos she'd taken of the street art earlier in the day. Those photos are very interesting, but they worry me. I wonder who painted them, and why?
The styles are different on some. I'd say at least 5 different people. They were spread around several different streets. I walked around a little to see what I could find.
Interesting. I wonder what the others will make of them. Tell you what, do you want to come back to the house with me? Bring your laptop and start your spell recognition training. I can give you access to the files I used with... who did I train last? Oh, Tony. I have to dig around a bit. They're filed somewhere.
Electronic or paper?
Both. I scanned them in when I started IIFI. I can easily lay my hands on the paper copies because they're in some old notebooks that Nam put together for me. She was helping me with... I suddenly felt my mind drifting and my body becoming weightless. I was swallowed in a black void. As the light slowly returned around me, I realized I was walking through a hallway made of pages. I looked around, but I couldn't focus on the words. There was a smell like dust and parchment, which was overpowering, intoxicating. I came to a point in the hall where a scroll stuck out, although there was no obvious hole in the wall. I pulled on it and fell backwards with the scroll in my hands. Doing this revealed an opening in the wall which suddenly grew into a tunnel. A jester leapt out and started dancing around me, alternately laughing and crying. He grabbed the scroll from my hand, casting a reproachful glance my way, and gave me an hourglass. He then danced down the hall, throwing a scroll into the air with each step, until a giant raven swooped down and swallowed him whole. The raven suddenly started to shrink, and then leapt onto my shoulder and pecked my ear. The hourglass had turned into a tin can on a string. The bird grabbed hold of the string and flew away, laughing. It picked up one of the scrolls in its talons and shrieked, "Nevermore," as it vanished from sight. I suddenly felt as if I was being watched and turned to find a frightening and strange character to my left. It was an executioner wearing a stylish suit, stepping out of a grandfather clock. He looked familiar. The light became very bright around him, and I squinted, trying to see his face. A crowd of old women knitting and laughing suddenly appeared. They were happily shouting, "Off with his head!" As the light subsided again, I found myself in a large auditorium with a jeering crowd watching me. I suddenly realized I was tied to a table and a pendulum was swinging above me. It came lower and lower, and then my eyes opened, and the worried face of Jennifer Morgan was looking at me. She was using a hand to push me back against the chair, and I realized I'd been having a vision.
Are you all right? You scared the hell out of me.
I'm okay. It was just a vision. Can I have some water, please?
Oh, come on. I'll help you over to the couch first. Is this why you don't drive?
It's definitely one of the reasons. Why did you think of that?
That's just the way my mind works. Pieces fall in place and I see a picture.
I see, I think. To be fair, it's extremely rare for a vision to start so suddenly. I usually have a warning. I wonder if it was triggered by the visit to the bookshop. That was rather intense in some ways. That odd man at the desk. The whole atmosphere was bizarre and unreal.
Yeah, it stressed me out.
Really? It didn't show. Bet you're great at poker.
Well, there's only one way you'll find out.
I don't gamble. Well, not for money. Only when it's necessitated by life.
Ooh, a 5-syllable word. It sounds to me like you're starting to feel better.
Yes, I think I'll be okay now.
Then should we head over to your place for the training now? Is that still on?
Yes, but can you give me 5 minutes or so that I can record the vision?
Of course. Tell you what. I'll just get my wash put in while you do that. That way I'm not just sitting here. I meant to do it this morning, but as you know, I was running late.
That's fine. And thank you. When we arrived at the house, Sylvia's car was parked in the drive. Jennifer parked alongside, and we went in to find Sylvia with Nan in the kitchen. We were invited to join them for pie, a cup of tea, and news.
I hoped you two would be getting back soon so I could update you regarding the missing teacher.
Did they find him?
No. The last place the CCTV caught him was before he entered St. Bartholomew's Park. They checked the footage, giving it a 30-minute window on either side, and no one else entered or left the area. They checked cameras along the road too. Nothing. It's like he vanished.
The park.
I know. Isn't that spooky? The haunted churchyard. You know.
Oh, is that what they say? I was just thinking about the night I called Balcom. He said that he could make up lost time getting to his writing student if he took a shortcut. It must have been through the park. My call had held him up, and he didn't want to be late.
We don't know what happened yet. Don't get all blamey-wamey. If someone nabbed him, they would have done it no matter where he went that night.
You said the park is haunted. What's that all about?
Don't you know the history of that area? St. Bartholomew's Church and the Hayham Ghost. People have been reporting strange phenomena in that area for a long time. Even the church's reverend reported seeing something in the 1870s. I remember the quote because I found the phrasing quite amusing. He said he was seized by a hideous thing and distilled almost to jelly with the act of fear. Well, at least that's how I remember it. It was so bad. The local people tried an exorcism in the church graveyard, but now it's only the remains of the church since most of it was destroyed during World War II. The main section was eventually demolished due to safety issues, but they left the 15th century tower as a reminder of the Blitz. People say it's still a haunted place. The EDP did an episode of Weird Norfolk about it. Hey, Owen, do you mind if I pop a link for their podcast on our website? People who listen to this might find it interesting.
Go ahead, but I think they should give us a free subscription to the online newspaper service if we're going to promote them.
Don't be so petty.
So back to this park. Is it your theory that a ghost grabbed Leo Balcom and dragged him down to hell by his Calvin Kleins, or whatever he could get his claws on?
I was just saying that it's an interesting area with a lot of strange sightings, even in modern times, that's all.
Okay, but can we concentrate on reality now?
Hyam Street used to be called Hangman's Lane. A lot of things took place there, which could leave a soul wandering.
Be that as it may, I don't think it's going to help us find the writing teacher. Ghosts aren't known for abducting people. Sorry, I'm just upset that innocent people are getting dragged into this. Jennifer, leave the recorder here, and if you'll come with me, I'll find those old files and we can build a training program to fit your needs. Sylvia, we made 2 separate recordings this morning. The first is around our visit to the bookshop, and then there's a short piece on the end, which is a vision I had. Could you please upload those to the server, along with the recording you've just made?
Certainly.
Thanks. Jennifer had nearly 2 hours of training before a knock on the study door interrupted us. It was Ben and Tony reporting that, while they hadn't found anything, they both felt as if they were being watched while in the park. Ben said that they didn't have any usable audio from the outing, since nothing had happened. I went out to the front room to say goodbye to the team, and then went back to my study. I was aware that the time was drawing near for my online meeting with Tristan. But before that started, I took the time to listen to the recording of my vision. I had 1 or 2 ideas, but some of it just seemed to be utter nonsense. I didn't even want to think about the part with the pendulum. At 4:55, I entered the online call waiting room. As I suspected, Tristan was already there. Hello. Hey, I like your haircut.
Thanks. I thought it was getting a bit too shaggy, even for me.
Well, it might be just a bit short of the right amount of shaggy at the moment, but that gives it room to grow.
My thoughts exactly. And now that I've got the cap on my tooth, bringing the root canal to an official end, all is right with my world.
You're so very easy to please.
You have to be, mate. Hey, do you mind if I get right into the story? I've got a few things on tonight.
Sure. Luckily, my day's been busy enough that I haven't had time to dwell on what you might have uncovered.
You'll love this. I have a new online contact, and he told me about something strange that happened to him around 14 years ago. He'd run away from home because he was being abused, and he started to make friends with a few other runaways. One night, he'd walked across town to a place where he was told he could get a good free meal. After he'd eaten, he headed back towards the places he knew, but a thunderstorm started, so he decided to find an abandoned building to shelter in. He entered the first one he found that had an obvious entry point. He looked around and saw someone in a far corner with their back to him. They were holding a shining object in their hand. Suddenly, the figure seemed to disappear. Scared but curious, he called out, but got no response. So then he slowly went over in the direction where he'd last seen the figure, and there was a shiny patch on the wall, similar to the object the person had been holding. He touched it, and the next thing he knew, he was stumbling through an entrance. He was dizzy and disoriented, and he found himself in a large, bright room. There were all these hooded figures, and they spoke in an unknown language. The man he'd followed was still holding the orb and turned towards him angrily and just kept glaring at him. He said that there were these creatures in the room too. At first he thought they were decorations of some sort, but then they started gliding towards him. From his description, I'd say they were elder beings.
Let me stop you there. This is pure fantasy. How could you believe him? A homeless kid goes through a portal to another dimension and lives to tell the tale? I don't think so.
Hey, let me tell the whole story. You haven't heard the best bit yet. So, terrified, the kid formed a star-like sign with his hands and, closing one eye, looked through the middle arch of his fingers. One of the other homeless kids had taught him how to do it, saying that it was for protection from the old ones. He didn't really think it'd have any effect, but he was desperate. At this point, the elder things started twitching their appendages and clicking and backing up. Next, the guy that he'd followed held the orb up high, reopening the portal, and then just pointed for him to go through it. He didn't hesitate. It took him back to the spot where he'd entered the building, and he says he just ran like hell, and finally stopped when he found a shop doorway he could shelter in.
The elder sign?
Yeah. It's just something that's been passed along, and none of them seem to know when or where it started. He asked around after his experience, and a girl told him it dated back at least as far as the Great Depression. I'm going to be asking around tonight at an online gathering.
I'm still dubious.
But how could he make up a story like that? And why would he do it?
Come on. With all that game stuff online that jumbles up old religions, myths and stories, it's not too hard to make up something like that if you want attention.
Listen, I stayed up most of the night combing the dark web, and you know what? It's very hard to find anything about it. But not impossible. It's not obvious. You've got to know how to search for it, or you won't find it. The stories are being put up by people who used to be homeless. But they've turned their lives around. They're looking for answers. They're looking for others with the same experience. They want to know that they weren't just dreaming, that it really happened. If they wanted attention, they'd put it on TikTok.
Okay. You're right. I'm sorry. I just realised what an idiot I'm being. It's not been a good day. If you tell me something, then I should know that you've done the research to back it up. I wonder how you put up with me sometimes.
Hey, don't knock yourself. I don't think there are many people out there who get sincere apologies from their employers. Not to mention that wild get-together we're going to have at the Whitby Goth weekend. You're still coming to that, right?
Haven't missed one in 14 years, not counting the COVID gap. I must admit, my wild is pretty tame these days, but I know we'll have a good time. Hey, I almost forgot. Did Nan sort out that sneak spell for you?
Did she ever? I was impressed. It sounded like she'd done some major research since she gave me the last one. I'd swear her magic's becoming more powerful every time I speak to her.
Yes, Nan never seems to stop learning. She's been locked away in the laboratory for half the day working on experiments with that phony Church of Starry Wisdom amulet. You did read the post I wrote, didn't you?
Yeah, cultists in the fire department. How ironic. But isn't it odd? You can tell me things like that about your Nan, yet you thought the story I told you sounded fake. Huh. Isn't life strange?
This is John Holmes, and you have been listening to episode 3 of The Shambler from the Stars, based on a story of the same title by Robert Bloch, adapted for podcast by Michelle Perry Brooker, with additional material by Neil Brooker. The cast includes Neil Brooker as Eoghan Blakewell, John Bucket as Tristan Elliott, Samantha Dunlop as Kathleen O'Cleary, Brian Karasek as Benjamin Wiley, Penny Lindbergh as the bookshop assistant, Tobias Nielsen as Anton Sorenson, Michelle Perry Brooker as Jennifer Morgan, Dom Richards as Robert, D.K. Sellers as Giles Waterhouse, Matthew Shalovich Stanhope as Leo Balcom and Edgar Baird, and Samantha Underhill as Sylvia Grant. Music, sound design and audio editing by Neil Brooker. This has been a Destination Yesterday production.